And we are back, and we thank those coming out here tonight. You can tell the days are getting longer. We still have a little light outside here at Beaver Creek. Hit Fly Boys, come on by and join us if you're in the area. Stop on by. We're here for about the next 55, 56 minutes right now. Coach Scott Nagy joining us now, along with the Hall of Fame coach Jim Brown. And then later on, we'll be talking with two of the student athletes for the Wright State men's team. That would be Adam Giles and also Mark Hughes. Coach Nagy, got to be happy. You got 2 wins here at home this past weekend over Oakland and also Detroit Mercy. Your team seems to be really gelling at a good time of the season. You got to be happy about that.
Yeah, I think it coincides with our freshmen playing better, getting the minutes from Skylar and Malachi. They went from 15 minutes a game to almost 35 minutes a game, and it's been a big change for us, and it's really helped rest our guys. We're able to play faster. And I think the 7 out of 8 is kind of when those guys started playing more.
Malachi Smith, Coach Brown and I both talked during the last few games. It's been like 7 or 8 games now where he's played 20-plus minutes. He has earned those minutes. He's put back-to-back double-digit games together, assists, making good decisions, and also his defense is so much better now than it was early.
Yeah, it was bad early, and that's one of the reasons why he didn't play, and he's figured that out. He's figured out the level, what I call the level of desperation that it takes to be a good defender. And he was really good Saturday night. I thought did a great job.
I got a kick out of him because it was in the second half, and he was guarding Davis, and Davis came off of a curl move, and Malachi stayed right with him, right across the lane, and it got to the point where he got ahead of Davis, and Davis ended up traveling. And when the whistle blew and he looked, he got that big smile on his face, like mission accomplished.
Yeah, and normally would have Mark on Davis,
right.
But when Malachi was in, he was wanting to guard Davis, so that's a good sign.
Yeah, and the thing about Malachi is his lateral quickness is really good, and he's got some size and some physical.
Great anticipation. He's a better than average athlete, but he has tremendous anticipation. He has a great feel, and like you say, he's got good size and he's very strong.
Yeah, and the other thing, Coach, is he doesn't turn the ball over. He doesn't try to do stuff he can't do.
That's the big benefit of him playing 20 minutes a game. It's just another guy on the floor that can handle the ball, where it used to just be Cole, and now we have 2 guys out there that are good ball handlers.
Well, you look at the other freshman also, Skylar Potter, had struggled a few games, but he really played extremely well. Well, he'd been rebounding well, but scoring-wise, he was able to contribute in that win over Detroit Mercy on Saturday night.
Well, he early in the year he played well, and then he had a dip, and I think that now he's becoming more consistent. He's definitely become more consistent in practice. His focus is better, and it's paid off for him. Now he's not scoring like he was early in the year, but he's shooting a better percentage, and he's doing more of what we want him to do, and he's benefiting from it. So is our basketball team, because he's getting to play.
How great was it to see Mark Hughes hit 4 out of 5 threes in that game?
It's great to see anybody make a shot.
But I mean, for him especially. But him especially, though.
Well, you say him especially. You can go down and look at what everybody's shooting. He's not any worse. I mean, I know he had.
He'd been like over 20 something.
But I'm just honestly, I'm amazed at how poorly we've shot the ball here in league. In particular, we shot it so well outside of league, and the guys have put the work in. I mean, they like Bill's put the work in, and Cole's put the work in. Those guys, and they stay at it. And like I told them at halftime, because it started to become guys shooting the ball because they think they're supposed to, because they're open instead of wanting to. And I want guys to shoot the ball because they want to, because those shots have a much better chance of going in. And so, they need to stay at it, and they need to continue to shoot it, and I think it'll go in. Yeah,
there have been a lot of opportunities. I mean, shots that are available that they can take. Like Parker Ernstausen many times is wide open, and the teams say, go ahead.
Yeah, and primarily they're looking at his percentage, but even in this game coming up with Northern Kentucky, Parker's going to get some shots, and he needs to be willing to shoot it, but not only willing, want. That's the difference. You want to shoot the basketball.
Coach, your shooting percentage, like you said, is not good in the league, but it's not because your guys are taking bad shots. They're taking good shots, and as long as they keep the right attitude, because shooting is so much confidence. It's just so much confidence, and that's why I give Mark Hughes so much credit, because he had gone through that stretch where he couldn't make a 3, and you come out the second half down 6 or 7 points to Oakland,
yeah.
and you ran a play to get the ball to Loudon, but the second option of that was a 3 by Mark, and he made it, and boy, it just got us going.
Yeah, my dad watched that. He said, "You must be the ultimate optimist to call play for a 3." I said, "Well, it was for Loudon, but yeah, Mark was the second option." And I thought, and I told Mark this, I thought it was the biggest shot of the game.
Absolutely.
Because certainly it helped him, and I think it gave our team confidence.
Well, defensively, right after that, it just energized your whole defense.
Yeah, and that's really it's amazing how good our defense has been. And Coach Cooley told me before I came in that right now we're number one in the league at points per possession, which is where we want to be. And that's one reason why we're in second place, even though we've been pretty average offensively. We've been really good defensively, and we were awful defensively early in the year, and our kids have stayed at it, and we're starting to get pretty good with it. But usually when you're bad offensively, it starts to affect your defense, and I think that's one of the amazing things, that our defense has still been good even though we've struggled offensively.
And your defense is solid, and you're not fouling people. I think that's a key thing. You're not putting people at the foul line.
No, we work hard at not having dumb fouls, overly aggressive fouls. We use the terminology physical without fouling, being able to be physical, be aggressive without fouling. Most of the times that means keep your hands off people, because usually when your hands get involved, you're going to get a foul called.
I'll tell you something, Coach. I know it got the Detroit coach thrown out of the game because of the way he reacted, but I absolutely loved Loudon trying to block that shot and being physical with the young man from Detroit.
I mean, we've been after Loudon all year just to protect the rim. And, you just don't let anybody come into the circle there and get shots, and not in a try to hurt people way, but certainly we don't want people to be comfortable coming in there, and they shouldn't be with Loudon in there. And it was a clean play. Of course, Detroit doesn't think that it was. I mean, we can go back and forth and argue with that, but I've looked at it several times. And he just ran into Loudon's body.
Yep.
And, I'd get hurt, too, if I ran into Loudon's body.
Yep.
I mean,
I think a lot of people would.
That's exactly right.
It was similar to the play where they had a review earlier where he ran into Skylar Potter, and I saw that thing live. I saw him coming off the screen on the baseline, and he was going full speed, and Skylar
backed into him.
Yes,
he didn't even see him.
He didn't even see him.
He backed
and,
into him.
It resulted in a review, and they said, no, it was just a basketball play. But he got nailed that time, too.
Yeah, and I think they look at those things, and they're like, well, Wright State was out to knock him around, and maybe some of the comments I made after the game up there, because I wasn't very happy with the fact they left him in when the game was clearly over, and they were just trying to get his points. And but certainly the comment I make doesn't mean, hey, next time we play them, we're going to try to hurt the kid. It just means we're going to be better focused.
Right, better focus is like you emphasized at the end of that game, and you look at that play over and over again, like you mentioned, and we had the replay play 3 or 4 times because of all that was going on after what happened when Coach Davis was thrown out, and you can see clearly all Loudon did was go straight up. He went for the ball. He didn't swat at the player at all. The guy just bounced right off of him. And it appeared on the replay, I don't know if anybody stepped on it, but if it was one of the Detroit players.
A couple of the Detroit players tripped over him and fell on him. I think Loudon is fairly sensitive to that he doesn't want some kind of label where he's trying to hurt people. But at the same point, I don't want him too worried about it, to be honest with you. I want him to be an aggressive player. And I've been coaching him for 3 years here now, and he's clearly not a dirty player.
Your team had a lot of success against the 2-3 zone of Detroit Mercy, getting the ball inside, moving the ball very well offensively.
Yeah, we got it inside early. I think Loudon did most of his work in the first half. We had some sets against the zone, but we really didn't need to run them a whole lot. We got the ball, and I thought Parker was really good in the high post. I think that's what helped us the most.
Don't you think the high post? I've always felt like the high post is the key against the zone.
It's the key. You get it in there, and it kills the zone. And Detroit plays zone so much that when they're used to certain things that happen against the zone, and when it goes into the high post against them, they just match up. They go 5-on-5 right there, and that's what we're trying to tell our guys, that if you catch it in the high post and they match up, then it's one-on-one right there in the high post. And to start the second half there, you saw Parker catch that ball and just put it on the floor one time and shoot a layup.
And I thought Skylar was really smart. He stayed behind the zone. Now he missed a dunk.
He's a bottom feeder in the zone. He's the perfect guy for it. I call him the catfish. You just stay along the bottom, hide, and it's a good spot for him, I think. And if we could ever get anybody who could throw a decent pass, he should get a few alley-oops.
I think a lot of times the guy that plays on the baseline like that wants to get up and post, and he's far better off if he just stays behind him where they can't see him I mean, he got a couple nice passes as a result and got layups.
Yeah, and he actually made a couple really good passes. Made some very aggressive drives and then made some good decisions out of it. That's probably what I was most pleased with.
Cole Gentry, we talked about after the Oakland game, in that second half especially, told your team to speed it up a little bit. He plays better, in the open floor, and he showed that in that game.
Yeah, he's better in the open floor for sure, and I think in the second half of the Oakland game, we had a chance to see that. We just, particularly with being able to play the freshmen now, we're able to play faster. It's just very, very evident to me, after about 9 games through, that we can't just be a half-court team. We can't just worry about whether or not we have Loudon on the floor all the time and play slow and let him get up the floor. And so we're trying to play faster. Loudon's capable of playing fast, but he's just like everybody else. You're not capable of playing fast for 35 minutes. You reduce your minutes, and you try to be more productive in the minutes.
And be more productive with his minutes. So talk about Bill Wampler. You mentioned earlier how hard he's worked, but he has been so solid and steady ever since he's been coming off the bench.
Yeah, he has. He accepted a different role for us, and I think that's helped him partly just because of the kind of person he is. But he's still playing the same number of minutes. He's shooting a better percentage. But I think particularly he and Cole are just so frustrated with their three-point percentage.
Yeah.
And I tell you that, in the first half there, the Detroit game, they took 2 or 3 shots that just were in and out. I mean, it's just like, will the ball go down for these two? And I think it's going to, and I think when it does, it's going to explode.
All right, go ahead, Coach.
See, that's the thing, though. They're taking good shots. If they were taking bad shots, you would be concerned.
I'm not worried about it. I'm really not. Now, I'm a little frustrated. I wish they would make them, but I'm not worried about it. And what I don't want them to do is get to a spot where they don't want to shoot.
Get gun shy.
Right.
Absolutely.
All right, we're going to take our first break here at Fly Boys in Beaver Creek. This is the Scott Nagy Show. Back with more Wright State men's basketball talk when we return after these messages.
Hi, I'm Bob Grody, class of 1976 and former Raiders player and coach. Did you know that once you're a Wright State grad, you're automatically a member of the Alumni Association? As a member, tap into the Wright State Network, attend a local alumni event, and earn discounts and special offers. Log on to WrightStateAlumni.com and make the most of your membership. Thank you, and go Raiders.
Back with Hall of Fame coach Jim Brown, and of course the star of the show, of course, it is the head coach of Wright State men's basketball team, Scott Nagy. Up next for the Raiders will be the Norse of Northern Kentucky University. It's Friday night at 9 o'clock. It's an ESPNU game. If you can't get to ESPNU, you can't make it out to the arena, please get your tickets, all right? We need to have you out there for this big game against the Norse, but if not, Coach Brown and I will have it on the radio too if you can't watch it on ESPNU. All right, Coach, let's talk a little bit about, I know we're talking to Coach Brown during the break right now, and we haven't had a chance in a few weeks to talk about your signed recruits coming in. They're all having a pretty good season. In fact, Colvin is now back up in Chicago playing again. I saw where he's back on the floor.
Yeah. Trey Calvin is back up there. He broke his hand and was out for about 3 weeks, and he just started playing again. He played Friday, and I think he had 14 points. But Noah Friedel, their team is undefeated, and he had 40 this weekend in a big game, a game that was very close back and forth, and made the game-winning play with 40 points. Tanner Holden in Wheelersburg has had a couple 50-point games. And it just has been, he's had a great year. My dad actually went Friday and watched him play. My dad, of course, he loves basketball.
Oh,
and he loves our basketball
very
team.
Passionate, yeah.
And I think my son was wondering why he wasn't staying and watching him play. And Dad had to go down and watch one of the recruits play.
He had a lot of explaining
and then, Andre Harris is having a great year up in Cleveland. He was Player of the Week a couple of weeks ago, and probably of all our players, Andre plays against the best competition.
Yeah.
And he's having a great year too, and Brush is having a great year.
All your teams are having great seasons. And I think that's important that they come from winning programs. You see it with Malachi. He's a very confident player because he won a state championship last year. But have any of your I know Brush has lost a couple games, but at the other teams, I know Wheelersburg's undefeated, aren't they?
Wheelersburg's undefeated. Noah Friedel's team's undefeated. Trey Calvin's team has lost some games, but they play tremendous competition too.
Well, let's talk a little bit about those freshmen when they do come in. And I'll generically, not these guys specifically or any others. I was talking to a couple guys I know over this past week, and they said, AAU basketball, summer basketball pickup games, how much time do you have to take when these new players come in to correct all of those mistakes that they pick up?
Well, it isn't necessarily.
Not all the time, but
yeah,
there's some.
But they may have been coached differently than how we coach them. But generally, I say usually we try to recruit really good offensive players, so we don't have to spend as much time teaching them that, because if it's a lot easier to teach a kid to play defense than it is offense, to be honest with you. You can either score or you can't, and you either have that kind of mentality or you don't. And so we want people that are good scorers. But then usually if you're going to recruit a good scorer, their coach in high school isn't asking them to guard the top defender because they don't want them in foul trouble, and so they haven't been asked to guard like we're going to ask them to guard. Just like last year Jalen Early was not a good defender. And late he was one of our best ones, and I think losing Jalen this year, that was the biggest loss for us, was the benefit he would have been to our team defensively. You look at Malachi and the jumps that he's made from the beginning of the year to now, and why he's getting to play, and so that's just the biggest jump. Learning the physicality, understanding the level of desperation you have to be a good defender.
Well, they talk about the game is much faster, too, each level that you go up. It seems like it's slowing down, especially for Malachi and Skylar right now.
Yeah, I think that stuff happens without question. You're playing against all the top athletes, all the top players, and the game is faster. The players you're playing are more athletic, they're bigger, they're stronger, all those kind of things, and it does take a while for it to slow down for you.
No, go ahead. I'm just.
Well, get your mic there a little closer. I know you giggle a little bit, Coach Brown, a little bit about when players and their habits that they have coming in. Like you said, Coach, that's where you look for when you go out and look for potential student athletes to come to Wright State. Offensively, they have those skills. Is that the first thing that you look at when you go out there, or do you have an idea of a guy before you go out there and actually look at him?
Yeah, I don't know if there's just one thing that might be the first thing you look at. There are some things that are important to us. We really like people that what we call can do the three things offensively. Handle it. They're good ball handlers. They can pass it, good passers, and they can shoot it. And if you can put 5 guys on the floor that can do those 3 things, then you're really difficult to guard. Really difficult to guard, which makes it easier on your defense. But at the end of the day, those guys that all handle a pass and shoot are going to have to go down the other end, and that's, to me, that's the work that it takes. I could take 5 guys that could handle a pass and shoot and put them on the floor, and they're going to score. They know how to score. They're going to figure that out, but they don't naturally run back down the floor, sprint, get matched up, talk, dive on the floor, get through ball screens, block out, do the things that I think daily you have to do in order to be a good defensive team.
And another thing, too, is getting themselves physically capable of playing at this level. I was
and genetics, Look at Skylar Potter. Physically he was ready to go, where Jalen probably wasn't. Jalen would have benefited from a redshirt year, but we just couldn't do it. And so genetics is some of that. But we lift year round, and once the season's over, then we really lift hard. But we lift two at least twice a week, even during the season.
Got a good report on Cole Pitchford. That's why I brought that up. He talked about Grant Basile and how much he has put on, taking advantage of working in other areas because he still has that boot on. Hopefully he'll be off soon.
He gets the boot off, I think, maybe even Wednesday. But Jalen has added a good 10 pounds. His legs are getting a lot stronger. Like you say, Grant is up to about 225. Now, those guys, some of that weight would just be natural because they haven't been as physically active as our other guys. Probably the thing I'm most pleased with about our basketball team is through this season, we've been able to keep the weight on our guys.
Yeah, they have. They've been in excellent condition. And Cole Gentry is one of those. Had some opponents, fans come up and talk about. They said that guy has got a motor that just doesn't quit. They say how well conditioned that he is.
Yeah, he has great endurance. He was, and you can tell by watching that he was a good soccer player because he's quick and he's got good feet but he does have great endurance. He really does. And the other thing is he just cares deeply. And so I think that's the other thing that carries him.
Well, we were talking with Coach Merriweather earlier, and I wanted to get this in about the student-athlete recognition night. You can see nearly your whole team was out there before they went back to the locker room. You got to be proud.
Yeah, what are we doing if we're not trying to do really well in school and get a good education? And so that's on those guys. We obviously want to recruit guys that are serious about their futures. Because at the end of this, basketball is going to be over. Even if I say, even if they play till they're 30, which I've only had one player do in all the years that I've coached, they're going to have most of the rest of their life to live after that. And the question is, when basketball's over, are you prepared for whatever comes next? And so that is important to me. I want people that are serious about that because they tend to be better basketball players anyway.
Yeah, and I think the academic support these guys get at Wright State is
It's
fantastic.
great. It's great.
Megan,
it really is.
Megan Watson, your academic advisor.
Compared to where I came from and the opportunities that they have to get in front of somebody that can help them, whether it's a tutor, or an academic advisor like you talked about, it really is. They do a great job here.
I still teach a couple classes there, and my classes are,
Oh, I heard it's the toughest class on campus, Coach.
No. Far from it, but
a few of the players have told us that.
They're on me. They want to know if they're not there, if they're not sitting in the front row, if they got their cell phones out. And that's
well,
that's
great. Of course, this. There's universities that would actually pay people to go to class and check to see if the student athlete's in class. And I've always said, if we have to do that, then we've lost our minds. I just tell a kid, I can tell right now, if you're consistently not going to class, you're just not going to be here. You can just go somewhere else, because we want people that are serious about it. And if we have to start paying people to do that, come on, we don't want to do that.
Well, I can tell you this: they sit in the front row in my class. They don't have any cell phones out, and they pay attention. And I've had a bunch of your kids and a lot of Katrina's in my basketball coaching class. So
that's good to hear.
That's right.
That's a good report. That's definitely a good report. We have a couple of them coming on a little bit later, and I want to talk a little bit more about, Mark Hughes and, Parker Ernsthausen. We had him, last week, Adam Giles, and your seniors, this year, because it starts getting to the point of the year right now where there's just a few more regular season games left, but they have big goals, and there's a lot still to come for this team.
They do, and I this past week I asked our seniors, to really start to lock in and lead our guys, because this is your one chance. This is it. These other guys are going to have other chances to win a league championship. This is your one shot, and so we really need you to focus. We need you to have great practices. We need you to lead our basketball team, and that doesn't mean that that's going to happen, but we've certainly given ourselves a good opportunity, and we do have great senior leadership.
One of the things that I always look for when I was recruiting is how hard a young man plays, and you guys have done a great job, because your kids, even in the adverse situations that you've had, they play hard all the time. It's
well, they're just they're good kids that care. They care that they do well. They care about their teammates, and then what that produces is you playing hard because you don't want to let your teammates down, and so you'll do whatever you have to do.
You can see it. You can just see it when they come into the game, and you guys do a great job, I think, of managing the minutes, particularly Loudon, because he gets tired quicker than probably anybody else. Cause he's so big.
He and Parker do. They do, but I agree. I think our assistant coaches do a good job of keeping those guys pretty fresh, and I think the fact that we're playing trying to play faster, means Loudon's going to have to play shorter stints. But I think he should be on the bench a shorter amount of time. His rests need to be shorter, and we need to get him back in the game.
I thought that both Parker and Skyler, the way they played on Saturday night, will benefit them, because they both have kind of gone through a little spell here offensively where they've struggled, not defensively or anything, but scoring-wise. And they both had really good scoring games, and I think that'll help them down the road here.
I hope. We've honestly not had anybody play consistently well offensively all year. It's been one of those deals, and. But through that, and even through that, and most of it's been through league play where we've been so inconsistent offensively. Still, we've given ourselves a chance to win a league championship.
Yeah, it's all about shooting the basketball, and that comes, from being confident and optimistic. And Coach, you're so optimistic. You have an optimistic staff too.
Yep.
They keep you optimistic. That's why these guys are playing so well right now.
The smartest thing I do is I put Clint in between me and the players, and then all the negative stuff I say goes in Brian's ear. You can see all the stuff I say to him. So that, Brian's the one, as he walks off the floor, probably just wore out, from having to deal with me and listen to all my negativity. But I try not to pour it out on the players. I really do as best I can. And I was smart enough to hire very optimistic assistant coaches.
I don't know if you agree with this or not, but Brian told me one time, when things are going bad, Coach Nagy's fine. He doesn't say much at all. But when things are going great, he's on everybody.
Yeah. That's,
even the assistants.
That's probably the truth, because when things are going great, I feel like people lose focus, and then they start doing, they relax and they think everything's okay. And to me, that's like the worst thing can happen. Is when you start thinking things are okay, that's when you quit doing what you're supposed to be doing.
Well, we had a picture of you the other night when we were doing the game, and it was one of those things, and you were on the bench, and it was like you were at the donut shop with a cup of coffee. You were so cool.
Yeah, it was an intense part of the
relaxed,
game. That was the Oakland game.
And
Yeah,
I made
yeah.
a comment about
That's
it.
it.
I think that's, I think sometimes somebody made a really good point to me the other day, and he was talking about coaches. And he said, Coach Nagy sits down and listens to his assistants. He gets up and coaches, but he also sits down and listens to his assistants. He says, I see so many of these coaches, they never sit down and interact with their assistants during the game. They're standing the whole time.
Yeah, well, I trust my assistants a lot, and they, and this. You've been in the practices; they do a lot of the work, and our players know it. And our players, a lot of times, whoever is a scout, it could be Clint, it could be Coach Cooley. In a timeout, I may let them talk because they know more of what they're talking about than I do in terms of what the other team's trying to get done. And so, the players just don't need to hear from me all the time. And like I say, I do the best I can not to just pour out my negativity on them.
Were you like that as a young coach, or is that something that you developed?
Well, I didn't. When I was young, we were Division II. I just didn't have as many assistant coaches. I had to do a lot more work in practice and in game preparation, all those things. I mean, it's a lot different now in terms of the help I have compared to what I had when I was young.
Well, we've run out of time, Coach. All this optimism, I want you to save it for the game on Friday night.
Yeah.
All right, and get a
I'm
win.
excited. I really am. I'm happy for our players.
Yes.
It's going to be fun to play in a game like this. Two really good teams. I think John does a great job. And it's going to take a tough team to win the game either way, just like it did down there. And but I'm excited that our players have worked hard to give themselves a chance playing a game like this.
And if you're a competitive athlete, you want to be in a position like this. This is what you really love to do.
Without question, it's why you play.
All right, stay with us. Coming up next, we have either Mark Hughes or Adam Giles will be joining us next. Thank you, Coach Nagy, and best of luck coming up on Friday night.
Thank you.
All right, stay with us. We'll have more from Fly Boys in Beaver Creek when we return. This is Wright State University basketball.
What does it mean to be a pioneer, reaching your full potential? It means being bold. No, bigger than bold, monumental. Where would we be if we ceased at the first "you can't do that"? How would we advance if we stopped in our tracks every time we heard "hey you, move back"? We develop thick skin when opposition wishes we'd stay soft. Against resistance, our persistence will pay off. At Wright State, our goal remains central. We are the pioneers of potential.
And welcome back with Hall of Fame coach Jim Brown. And as promised, one of our seniors joining us here tonight. Always one of the segments that a lot of the fans look forward to and listening to, and that is hearing from the student athletes themselves. And Mark Hughes, one of the seniors with the Wright State men's basketball team, joining us right now. And Mark, you heard Coach Nagy talk about the team seems to be gelling right now, playing really good basketball. It starts with good defense, and you're considered one of the best on-the-ball defenders in the Horizon League right now. You always seem like you are assigned one of the best scorers from the other team, and to this point, you haven't disappointed.
Obviously Coach Nagy preaches defense a lot, and it's something we've taken very serious all year, and I feel like it's starting to click for us. We're playing really well together, and like you mentioned, being assigned a best guard on the other team is something I've always accepted and really just embraced because I know somebody has to do it, and why not me?
Well, you've seen some really good scoring guards this year, not only in the Horizon League but outside of the Horizon League. And what really comes to top of mind right now is a guy who might be a top 5 pick in the NBA, and that's John Morant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very good player from Murray State, definitely.
What about some of the players in the league? You had a chance to guard Antoine Davis on Saturday night.
Yeah, I mean, the Horizon League's filled with really good players. Cumberland from Oakland. Obviously, Antoine Davis, what he did to us the first game. Appleby from Cleveland State.
Hit a triple-double the other night.
Quisenberry
from YSU was really good, So, I mean, Horizon League's always been filled with good guards, and me just doing my job on defense is something I've been used to and I accept, and I'm facing it every game. So it's something I'm definitely used to, and I'm embracing it.
Well, let's take a step back from defense and talk a little offense, because you can smile a lot now. You were 4 for 5 from 3 the other night against Detroit Mercy.
Yeah, I was feeling good that day.
It's always nice when the first one goes in.
Yeah, I mean, as a shooter and as a scorer, seeing that first shot go in just gives you all the confidence in the world. You think you can't miss, and I had it rolling last game, and it felt really good to play well offensively again.
You had it rock and rolling on that second 3. You were playing the 6th string, weren't you?
Yeah, just try to have some fun with it. Coach Nagy not really interested in that, but I'm sure he'll get over it. Hopefully.
Hey, you made the basket. That's all that matters.
Well, I thought, and Coach Nagy just said it, the three you made coming out at the halftime was maybe the most important basket in that. And I have to give you a lot of credit. I knew you were this kind of player, but, sometimes when guys go through stretches where they just cannot make shots, and you were in that stretch, and it didn't affect you defensively. A lot of times it does. A guy gets his down in the dumper because he's not shooting the ball the way he should. But the impressive thing to me was, the play was ran to get the ball to Loudon, but when it popped out and they sagged off, you didn't hesitate. You shot it right away. And for a guy that had just missed his last 21, that took a lot of confidence. And I think it was just a really cool thing that you put it in, and it just energized the entire team. You could just see how the team reacted to that.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like our guys fed off of that because it was just like a huge sigh of relief in the building just because it's been
Everybody knows.
It's been so long. But, just to put that first one in, it felt really good.
What do your teammates do? Everybody has a slump. Everybody does. Do they kind of shy away from you? I have a familiarity with baseball. Usually the guys in a streak or whatever, they just don't even get next to him. They don't even get close to him.
Nah, we're not like that at all.
No, they just rib you, right?
Yeah, not at all. We got some really encouraging teammates. And
That's good.
They just told me to stay with it, keep shooting because we need me to score. And any opportunity I get, if I'm open, I'm jumping up and shooting it for sure.
Well, that was a perfect example in the game on Saturday night. I don't, at halftime, maybe it was the Oakland game. It was the Oakland game where at halftime, Cole and you and Alan Vest had a combined 3 points. And in the second half, you had 23. Vitaly Potapenko, who was a lottery pick here, he had a little card when he played for the Cavaliers, an autograph card. And on that thing, he said, the least important score is the score at halftime. And that is so true because people get all caught up in what this doesn't mean anything. It's what you do the second half.
Absolutely. It's two halves of basketball always. So that first half, it's always important to have a good start, but how you start the second half, I feel like is way more important than anything just because it kind of sets the tone for the rest of the game and how the rest of the game is going to play out. So coming out of the second half is very important for us, and we need to start doing a better job of that.
Mark, being a senior, a lot of responsibilities, being a leader of this team. Coach Nagy just mentioned a few moments ago about, he's looking to you guys to be able to lead this team, down the stretch. And part of that leadership is working and I guess being a mentor with the younger players. We were talking earlier about how Skylar Potter and how Malachi Smith especially are playing so much better right now.
Yeah, definitely. We really count on them right now, and they're starting to pick up their play. And obviously, when they're playing well, it's just that much better for us because then it just opens up so many different things in terms of offensively because you got Malachi who can make plays off the bounce and Skylar Potter, who's a phenomenal athlete and a good three-point shooter. And he's obviously always on offensive glass just because of his pure athleticism. So when those guys are playing at a high level, it just makes us that much more hard to guard.
What are some of the things that they can, ask you or talk to you about, or maybe you can let them know, like when you were a freshman, some of the things you had to learn, especially in a situation right now when you got a tight race down the stretch?
Yeah, obviously coming in freshman year, it's all new to you. And by the end of your freshman year, you're no longer considered a freshman just because of how many minutes they're playing and stuff like that. So really just one thing to preach to those guys is just staying consistent with your work off the court and outside of practice just because being in the gym is so important. And you got to put that extra work in if you really want to be the best player you can be. And that's probably one piece of advice I would give them is just to stay in the gym because it's obviously helped me a lot and I want them to see them have the same success.
I probably have asked you this question before, but this is kind of a pet peeve of mine where young guys come up and they shy away from being the point guard because it's so hard to play. It's a totally different position. When was it? Well, first off, did you play point guard for your high school team your junior and senior year?
Yeah, just my senior year I played point guard for us. Yeah. Didn't really have a lot of guys that can handle the ball, so I was given the task of running the show pretty much. Yeah.
But don't you think that is because you're well equipped at either position? When Cole needs a break, you can bring the ball up against the press. You play the two position. Don't you think that young kids today, if they can learn to play both positions, it's going to help them down the road?
Absolutely. Playing the point guard position is definitely just so much different from the wing, basically because you're in control of the whole offense and how your team plays is it falls on you. And just having some of that experience definitely helped me playing college basketball. And I wish the same for young kids coming up. To any chance you could get to play that one position, definitely do it because there's no downside to it, and it can only help you and benefit you in your overall basketball game.
Well, Mark, stay here for a few more minutes. We're going to take a break and back with a couple more questions, all right? All right, we'll be back at Flyboys in Beaver Creek when we return. This is Wright State University basketball.
Join us as we celebrate Wright State's 20th Arts Gala on April 13th. Enjoy an incredible evening of performances by our talented students in art, music, theater, dance, and motion pictures, plus fine dining and auction items too. All proceeds support arts scholarships to help our students succeed. That's Arts Gala on April 13th. For tickets, call or click.
Along with Hall of Fame coach Jim Brown, we are back here at Flyboys in Beaver Creek. Back again next week, 5:30, Katrina Merriweather Show, and back with the Scott Nagy Show again at 6 next week, right here at Flyboys in Beaver Creek at the Mall at Fairfield Commons. Coach Brown, it's always great to have the student athletes here. We've been talking already tonight a few times about, the student recognition night. I know that halftime is expanded another 5 minutes or so, but this is really, really important. And, I wanted to ask you, Mark, you're out there and all your teammates out there, being rewarded for your academic success. That must mean a lot to you and also your teammates.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if you're not coming to school for your education first and you got your priorities out of whack, but yeah, I mean, we saw, as you've seen, a lot of guys getting recognized just because of how hard we work in the classroom, and really all the credit goes to Megan Watson just because of how hard she works for us in terms of just getting us on the right track coming in freshman year, because I struggled a little bit just with the whole adjustment from high school where it was really easy. You kind of know what you're doing and all that kind of stuff. But, yeah, I would just like to say that a credit to her just because of the work she's done for me individually, and I'm not sure how much she's helped everyone else, but I know me personally, she definitely set me on track and set me up to have a good academic career here.
What's your major?
Sports science.
And you're enjoying that a lot, obviously.
Yeah, definitely. I want to try and get into strength and conditioning once I'm done playing basketball, whenever that may be. I'm not sure, but yeah, kind of do what Coach Cole does and stay around athletics and help athletes be the best they can be, yeah.
Well, obviously you must listen to him a lot and others because, like you say, you put a lot of work in, not only on the court, but also, in the weight room. And being able to learn those things, that's a credit to you, and also those kind of things rub off on, the younger players. Is this something that you wanted to do when you came here? Is it something you found once you got here at Wright State, what you wanted to study?
Honestly, coming in, I knew this is what I wanted to do just because I wanted to stay around athletics, and I thought what would be the best way for me to help athletes, and looked to the weight room just because it was something I wasn't really used to, didn't really enjoy being in coming in from high school, but I thought, why not this be the perfect place to set my career up, maybe just because I would have the opportunity to stay around athletics, and work with future athletes, helping them be the best possible athletes they can be for their particular sport.
Yeah, and you know what, Mark? That is one area in athletics that's changed dramatically, because you won't believe this. I played high school and college basketball, and I never lifted a weight in my life. Not one.
You'd never
weight.
tell by looking at him.
Yeah, right. You could tell, right? But I mean, back when I was in high school and college, lifting weights would hurt your shot. If you lifted weights, it would hurt your shot. You were not allowed to even touch weights. And I had a good high school basketball coach. I mean, he became the coach at Wright State, but that was just the philosophy at that time. And that has changed dramatically. I mean, there's a big need today for people in that area.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, a lot of emphasis is placed on the weight room and away from that sport kind of stuff like that. Just physically getting your body ready to play a sport, and especially college basketball, it's really, really physical.
Oh, yeah. We saw that at IUPUI.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of physicality in basketball, and so having your body ready to be able to withstand that and have a successful career and be healthy all the time is something that you really should take into consideration.
Mark, real quick, we'll talk about big game coming up against Northern Kentucky on Friday night. Excellent basketball team. Feature one of the better players in the league. He's the preseason favorite to win the Player of the Year, and that's Drew McDonald. But they're not just Drew McDonald. A couple of guys Tyler Sharp, also Jalen Tate, two excellent guards.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, NKU is a really talented basketball team away from McDonald. But Tyler Sharp can really knock down shots, and Jalen Tate makes plays off the bounce for them. And those two guys, as far as on the wing, make them go. And I'm just going to have to do a really good job on whoever I'm assigned to because it's going to be really a big key for us if we can get their guard shut down.
You know, finally, Mark, I was asked by one of the folks out here tonight before the shows, and they said, do the guys really hear us out there? And I said, well, look, when things are going, they wave you on, get you into the game. I thought the crowds here of late have been fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the Raider Nation always comes out and supports us, and as you can see, this Friday is going to be a huge game, so we're definitely going to need the support again. And the support's been great all year. We love playing at the Nutter Center. I mean, it's no better feeling than when you're playing at home and you're on a roll and you can feel the crowd pumping up and you guys are playing well. And so it's always been really fun to play there, and I'm just really excited for Friday.
All right, well, is he one of the guys that you've been working with in the weight room, Adam Giles? He's coming up next because you've done a nice job there.
Yeah, he's not my lifting partner, but he definitely works hard.
All right, we'll be talking with Adam when we come back with more here at Fly Boys in Beaver Creek. This is the Scott Nagy Show. We're talking Wright State University basketball.
Hi, I'm Bob Grody, class of 1976 and former Raiders player and coach. Did you know that once you're a Wright State grad, you're automatically a member of the Alumni Association? As a member, tap into the Wright State Network, attend a local alumni event, and earn discounts and special offers. Log on to wrightstatealumni.com and make the most of your membership. Thank you, and go Raiders.
Along with Hall of Fame coach Jim Brown, we are back here in Beaver Creek at Fly Boys again next week. Katrina Merriweather Show coming your way at 5:30. Then the Scott Nagy Show coming up at 6 until 7. And with us now is one of the other seniors on the Wright State squad this year, Adam Giles from nearby Miamisburg High School. And, you know, Adam, I think, have we had a chance to talk with you this year? I know last year we talked to you. I know that.
Yeah, not yet this year. This is the first time.
Haven't had the opportunity yet. But I hope people realize, I mean, how hard that you work. And also, you know, you've been rewarded for that this year.
I have.
And you definitely deserve that. And I'm talking about scholarship.
Yes.
I'm talking about, and congratulations to
Thank
you
you,
on
I
that
appreciate
for
it.
your hard work.
Thank you.
But a tremendous athlete. You were in high school, and you bump every day. You go toe to toe, you know, chest to chest, arm to arm with Loudon Love.
I do,
and you can talk about it.
Yeah, it's, I've lived to tell the tale. But
You know how Antoine Davis feels, right?
yeah, I just told Chris that was a love tap compared to what he does in practice.
That's good.
But for you, though, I mean, it's so important, you know, to be able to, you know, the practice time is so important, you know, to the entire team, you know, and it's not just, you know, some guy that came off the street, you know, walking on, okay? I mean, you bring, you know, a level of talent and a level of athleticism to this team that is really helpful.
Yeah, my sophomore year when I first joined the team, I didn't really know where I fit in with like my role and everything. But once I started going with Loudon every day, kind of embraced that role as the guy who's going to guard him and bump down there with him. So I tried to just get in the weight room as much as I could to try my best to match up with him. But putting the work in there has really tried to help me, or it really has helped me with that role on the team.
You know, for him, too, though, I think it's difficult because he is, you know, a physical specimen like they're out on the floor. You don't see a lot of basketball players, you know, like that. As far as, you know, efficient, he has to really adjust to that because there are times when people are grabbing, hacking, whatever, you know, and the call just doesn't go his way. But, you know, barely somebody runs into him and they think that's an intentional foul, and it's not. We looked on replay the other night. He just went up, blocked the shot, and Davis bumped up against him.
Yeah, his physicality, that you can't really prepare for that, and he's dealt with it his whole life where somebody's going to run into him, they're probably going to fall down, and so when he makes a move, the guy might fall down too. So like he's got to be cautious about that, but still maintain that aggressiveness and motor to play out there.
What's it like in practice, though? I mean, some of the things, because you want to be able to make him better, also making yourself better.
Yeah, my biggest thing is with being on scout team, we're given a person each week, and most of the time I'm the other team's center. So I try to just watch film on what their centers do when we're in the film room and just try to execute that to the best of my ability. I know it's a different look from 6'3" to 6'10", but I just try to do the best I can out there.
You had some good high school basketball teams at Miamisburg. I can remember I was coaching at Northmont, and we were playing, my 7th grade team was playing you guys in a tournament. And of course, I known your mom and dad forever because Gary was our sports information director for a while, and your wife worked in the your mom worked in the athletic department. I think that's where they might have met. I don't know, but he's shaking his head.
Yeah, he's shaking his head, yeah.
But anyway, it's always good to see, the history of Wright State produce another basketball player, which, Alan Vest is a son of a former player. You're the son of a couple people that worked in the athletic department, which I think is really cool. But you played on some really good high school basketball teams. And I remember when I got off track on the story, but the 7th grade team was playing that term. Your mom was telling me our team's undefeated. Our team's undefeated. They're pretty good. Coach.
Yeah, yeah. The middle school was a great time. I was about this size, and we did pretty well. But yeah, being from the Dayton area, my parents working and going here, obviously I was a fan of Wright State, and some of the guys make fun because I've got pictures of when I'm a little toddler running around at Wright State games and holding up signs, and it's been great to get the opportunity to be on the team after being a lifelong fan.
Your grandfather, Charlie, he's your grandfather or uncle?
Great uncle.
Great uncle. He was involved with the program. He was a statistician or something.
Yeah.
He was very involved back in the early days when we were playing in the PE building. He was around all the time.
Yeah, the Giles family's been around Wright State for a while now, and I'm glad I got to be a part of it. And we'll see former players like Deshaun Wood and Vaughn Duggins at the game, and they don't really know who they are, but I'm like, that was my favorite player when I was 7. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, they want to hear that, don't they?
Yeah.
Vaughn's going to be coming back here sometime next week as he's going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Okay, yeah, we saw him at IPY. He stopped by and watched that game, so we got to see him there. So.
I think he had an easier time chasing, the other team's offensive players than he does chasing his kids.
Yeah.
He spent a lot of time chasing that little boy that afternoon.
A few of them running around up there in the stands. We could see.
Well, you had a chance to play because you're such an exceptional athlete, in high school, football, baseball. Did you even think about wanting to play football somewhere?
I did. Football was the sport that I wanted to pursue in college. And there was the option for Division II football, but I made the decision to just go to school. So I chose Wright State just as a student. And freshman year, I was just only a student, just went to the rec and worked out and played intramural basketball and all this stuff. But then that sophomore year came around. It was a nice surprise.
Did you go to the tryout? Did somebody suggest that you try to do that?
There wasn't really a tryout.
Okay.
I was actually playing in a Sunday afternoon open gym with Bob Grant and other people from the athletic department and friends, and Coach Sargent, the new staff had just been hired, and Coach Sargent was there, and I met him there, and then about a month later, he got my number and texted me and was saying how he wants me to come to an open gym with the team, and I played with the team once. And then I didn't hear anything after that, so I was like, oh, it must not have gone well. But
what was that like, though, coming into that situation, though?
I was nervous.
Yeah, I bet you were.
Because the funny story, I actually pulled my hamstring playing slow pitch softball earlier that spring. So
oh, no.
I was still a little gimpy from that, but I was nervous, and I was seeing guys that I would go to the games and watch them, like, oh, there's Benzinger and Mark Allstork and those guys, so I was nervous playing with them. But that's where I met Trey Stacy, and he was nice to me. I was sitting with him half the time. And then I found out a couple months later, Sargent texted me again. It was like, hey, you want to come in? Coach Nagy wants to meet with you. So I went in there for a meeting, and that's when he gave me the opportunity if I wanted to walk on, and that was an easy choice.
Were you nervous for that meeting, too?
Yeah, I was, because I hadn't
never met him
him
before.
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
And he'll probably tell you if he asked him, but he said he painted a worst picture possible in my head. So he said anything that surpasses that, it's just icing on the cake. So I went in there with low expectations, but everything since then has just been great.
A lot of your teammates, they talk about what they really like, about him, obviously, because they're here, is the honesty. Mm-hmm. I mean, he's honest and he follows through on what he talks about. It might be stuff you don't want to hear, but, you'd rather have somebody like that with integrity.
Absolutely, yeah. You get used to it after a while. At first, you might get a little defensive and try to explain yourself, but at the end of the day, you just got to take it and listen to him and do what he's saying.
Have the years gone by fast for you?
They have, yeah. Especially these last 3 years on the team. It seems like I was just in college, just starting college yesterday, and now less than a semester left, and we're almost done.
What's your field to study?
Supply chain management.
Oh, yeah. Is that something you wanted to do when you first came here, or did you make your mind up where you were
No,
here?
I came in as a biology major,
Okay.
and that lasted about a semester. And then I went over to the business school and started in supply chain.
There's a lot of jobs in that area, so you did some research,
Yeah,
obviously.
I did. Me and my dad actually made the decision together. Because I knew I wanted to go to business because biology
Yeah.
wasn't for me, but we didn't know where to go. So we just did some research and some reading and found out supply chain would be a good job.
You know, I have tremendous respect for walk-ons. I think the position that you fill is one that gets appreciated only by the coaching staff and the other players, and it takes a unique person to do that. And I give you a lot of credit for that because, Trey, you mentioned Trey Stacy. Trey Stacy was the ultimate perfect walk-on, in my opinion. He had a great attitude, came to practice
Absolutely.
with a smile on his face. And you do the same. And it's a real tribute to you because it's tough. I mean, it's tough to be, you're not going to play unless the game gets out of hand, but you still got to come to practice and perform. And that's what makes teams really good. I mean, it really does. It's what makes good teams is when you've got that kind of effort out of all your players, the ones that don't play, the ones that do play. It's a team, and everybody's got a little role. And your role is to help those guys get better, and you've accepted it. And not that you've accepted it, but you embellish it, and you just, you go with it. I mean,
Trey set a great example for me because he had already been on the team 2 years when I became a walk-on, and I just followed his lead. And you got to really bring it every day in practice, or when you're being on the scout team, you're going to get your butt whooped by the first team. So you better be ready to go. Then we added 2 walk-ons this year, Andy, Neff, and Jack Hendricks. And I told them from the start, like, hey, if you have any questions, let me know. But make sure you're ready in the gym, ready to go. You can't just roll in there against Loudon and guys like that and expect to do well.
I've seen Clint Sargent, Coach Sargent, get into practice quite a bit. And there was something on Twitter the other day where you guys were playing 5-on-5, and he threw a behind-the-back pass in traffic to, I think it was Andy Neff, right?
It was.
For a layup.
He admitted later that day after the videos on Twitter that he did not know Andy was there, and he was trying to throw it to me, but it was a bad pass, and it just went right to Andy.
You gotta love his honesty, don't
you? He didn't admit it on Twitter, but he admitted it to us after the fact.
Tell the story about you guys were getting ready to play. Was it? I think it was Oakland on Friday, Thursday. I guess it was Thursday. And you had your shoot around. And what happened at the end of the shoot around with one of the assistant athletic directors?
Oh, Joy Lynn?
Joy Lynn.
Yeah, before every game we shoot a half quarter, and Joy Lynn had to be in the gym. If you're in the gym that day, you're going to end up shooting.
Yeah, Chris knows about it.
I know that real well. I was told don't be short, so I threw the baseball pass and nearly took the backboard down in Cancun. So
yeah, if you're lucky enough to be in the gym at that time, they're going to make you shoot a half quarter, and Joy Lynn was in there. She just grabs the ball and throws it like a baseball and sinks it, and everybody's saying, no way she gets it there.
Well, she just walk off? Hey, leave me alone,
she walked right out of the gym after that. She was done.
Well, you mentioned Andy Neff. We got to say this. Does he remind you that he's 2 for 2 this year?
He hasn't.
Oh, really?
He probably will soon. I'm like 1 for 3 on the year or something like that, but he's got a good percentage right now. We're going to have him miss a few shots.
Adam, the music in the background means we got to get out of here, but we really enjoyed the time you spent with us tonight.
Thank you.
A lot of basketball to play, and best of luck this weekend against Northern Kentucky.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, thanks to Sydney over here, our studio producer. Back in the studio, also Jamie, also Greg and Ryan back here, and everybody, please, thank you so much for coming out here tonight. We want to see you again next week. We want to see you in the Nutter Center in your seats as the Raiders host Northern Kentucky on Friday night at 9 o'clock. For Coach Jim Brown, this is Chris Collins. Thank you, and go Raiders.